everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of Why We Love This Band on Renegade Jukebox, where we discuss bands we both love and are formative to our music tastes and can discuss things like times we saw the bands live, memories of their music, and just how much we enjoy albums by these bands. Today, though, we're talking about a newer band that's really blown up, and I want to say the last 5 years at this rate, Mike.
At the very least 5 years.
Yeah, of course. This is one I've been pushing for a long time, is doing an episode on orbit culture.
Yeah, and to kick things off with sort of my history with the band, I'll be completely honest, my history is completely tied to yours. I can't remember exactly what song it was that you showed me through Messenger. It was probably one of the singles from Descent. All I got was, Mike, this is your new favorite band. You're welcome.
Yeah, that sounds like me.
And really, the rest from there is history.
Yeah, I can't pinpoint where I originally got into orbit culture from. I do have friends that end up recommending me a lot of stuff, and I just go, I'll get to it at some point, because I listen to a lot of music. I watch a lot of movies. So the amount of time that I already have dedicated to something, I just kind of go, I'm not making promises when I'll be able to check this out. But I think it was right around the time Nija was about to come out, and my first exposure was probably the song Red Fog. And then I heard Nija, the album, about a year passed, and then I jammed the Shaman EP. But beginning of 2023, just something with them clicked with me. And they're obviously influenced by basically traditional heavy metal, but also a lot of modern stuff. The way I describe it to a newcomer is if you took Metallica, Gojira, In Flames, and Meshuggah, and then threw them in a blender. That's how you wind up with, I'm really going to stand behind the statement, I think they're metal's next huge band, and I think they're the most deserving next huge band, because, to be honest with you, Mike, a lot of this poppier sounding metalcore stuff it doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, I don't blame you for feeling that way. This band is like kind of the sound that I'm looking for when it comes to the future of metal. Like in the more deathcore scene, we've got Lorna Shore, we've got Whitechapel still kicking, and then we have like the more melodic death metal stuff with these guys, Arch Enemy, and a few other names. But as far as like sort of the new faces, this is the band that people really need to start paying attention to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why Slipknot took them out last year. There's a reason why, and I'll mention this in the where you can buy merch and buy albums from them, and you can basically check them out live section at the end. There's a reason Trivium basically handpicked them to open for the Poison Descendancy tour happening this month. Not to tie it into any future episodes, kids.
So we will start with kind of the beginning of their story in 2013 with the EP Odyssey.
Which, to be honest with you guys, there's not much band history to really go off of. I mean, Wikipedia is pretty limited. It's pretty much just album comes out, here was the song used to promote it. And really, Orbit Culture mainly started off as almost just a studio project. I mean, there is some stuff online that kind of makes a bit of the joke that they make the songs so technical that they can't replicate them in a live environment, which I'd rather have them have it be so technical that they can't replicate it rather than try to fake it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But the Odyssey EP, I mainly took my notes off of it. I really wanted to make sure I had detailed notes going into this, because, to be honest, the earlier stuff I don't jam nearly as much as a lot of the later records, and it's really tough to comment on a band's full development when their start is just a 5-song EP rather than a full length. and usually we like to just go through mainly the full lengths, but the EPs are so integral to their catalog, I find, that we have to comment on them. But this thing shows a lot of really good potential in it. My brain kept thinking a lot of this sounds a lot like Way of All Flesh era Gojira.
I can hear those influences in their early sound. This is probably the one record that sounds the most, how should I put this? Definitely like a little bit more raw, a little less refined, obviously, because I want to say it's an independently released record.
Pretty much all of their stuff was independently released, aside from like a lot of the stuff from like Nija to current day, which they're currently now on Century Media Records. But with this, yeah, they were only about like 17 years old, according to the Wikipedia. So, and they were just all friends with each other. So, yeah, that's how Odyssey ended up coming out. It was teenagers messing around in probably their bedroom, recording demos and just writing songs together. And really, the main thing that I take away from it as a heads up to people, there's no clean singing on this just yet, but the riffing and forceful instrumentation here is just incredible. And it shows well, in this case, Nicholas Carlson, because pretty much most of this lineup isn't in the band anymore. So it just shows a lot of real talent straight out the gate. The plank distance, this is where I felt the Gojira influence the most. Wildfire has some really awesome blast beats. A lot of the back half of the EP reminded me, again, of Gojira, but also Amon Amarth in a few spots.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
But my best songs, The Plank Distance, Tellus, and The Sparrow, but really there's no weak track here to really mention. Those are just the ones that I was like, these are my highlights.
I will agree with The Plank Distance and the title track, Odyssey.
Yeah, again, I can't really say there's anything. I can't even find anything objectionable because there's nothing objectionable about this band in general. But a year later, we end up getting the next record, In Medias Res, which, apologies to our Swedish listeners, we do not know Swedish, so if we butcher any names or any pronunciations, we're sorry. That's all I got.
But with that being said, for their first like true like debut studio album, yeah, this one kicks a lot of ass.
Well, what I'm about to say is going to sound bad in the hands of a lesser band, but really, I think In Medias Res is just a better realized version of what was on Odyssey. And I, again, say that in a good way because they were already on to something with that EP to begin with. The guitars, admittedly, on these earlier albums just don't have kind of the crunch and oomph and the tone that are on the later records. But I mean, the older albums are still really worthwhile experiences.
Yeah, this is one of those bands where I would almost call their entire discography unskippable.
To be honest, our ranking is probably just going to be newest to oldest.
You're not wrong.
I mean, really, I do think that this band just progressively gets better. They get better at their instruments. They get better at songwriting. They get better at, well, I don't really want to say in the lyrical content department, but I mean, yeah, they just end up writing some really solid fucking hooks on those later records. But I don't want that to take any of the shine off of In Medias Res. It's still a really solid album for what it's going for. My favorite songs on it ended up being Obscurity, Aluminum, especially for that weird bluegrass part in the middle.
Yeah, that was something I was not expecting, but given some of the weirder bands that I've listened to in the past, like it was still a welcome addition to that track.
Well, I even told you that Soilwork did that on the Panic broadcast almost 15 years ago now. So it's not like it's some out of the blue. It's just weird to hear once you hear it in context of the record. Automata, always give me my Mellow Death twin leads, please. Korat and Of Sovereignty is also a really good closing number.
Keep that in mind. This band always delivers on their closers.
And I guess with that in mind, this next album is really we're going to get away from like the older lineup, and a lot more of the classic lineup is going to get introduced on the next EP. But I'm going to assume this is pronounced Rosin, just kind of the way that the unofficial sequel to Ringu is pronounced, just because Nicholas Carlson is also a really big horror movie geek like me. And so it's probably influenced by the Japanese Ring movies. But for the next album, we introduce one of my favorite elements of this band, and this ends up being the band's secret weapon. This hooks a lot of people in, or can end up making people go like, why is he doing this? But for me, I'm just going, this just sounds fucking amazing. Nicholas Carlson sounds a lot like James Hetfield when he sings.
He does. And like normally when a band like adds clean vocals to a sound that never had it before, it could be a bit jarring. That's not the case with Orbit Culture. If anything, it adds value to their music.
Oh, 100%. I feel like this album is the necessary next leap they needed to make musically. It's getting close, but musically it feels more, rather than just Gojira and Amon Amarth, it feels like Gojira, elements of them, and melodic death metal in general being mixed better here. I do admit I wish the acoustic guitars would make a little bit of a comeback. Like the way it's used on the umbilical cord is really well done. It kind of reminds me of like 90s era In Flames, like Off of the Jester Race. But this just starts off in the most explosive and best way possible. Svartport and Son of All are just ridiculously heavy numbers that should open up every mosh pit, if we're being honest. Obsession has a really earwormy chorus that I dig the hell out of, but honestly, my favorite tracks on this are either Wings of Dragons or I the Wolf. Wings of Dragons just has that awesome sweep solo towards the end of the track, and then I the Wolf, it just kicks your ass for 5 minutes straight with that amazing chorus that they would perfect later on, and that amazing twin lead section. Again, give me my twin guitar leads and make it ridiculously heavy, and the vocals on it are just great.
Yes, and we should also point out around this time, this is when Richard Hansen joined the lineup, and he makes a great addition to the band.
Oh, he's actually a tattoo artist, in case you didn't know. Yeah, he had other bands, according to the Wikipedia, but apparently he also does tattoos, and like he's one of the few people I'm going to allow with face tattoos.
Nice.
But I guess with that in mind, this is where we're going to kind of hint at where Red Fog would end up going, because we have to bring this up. One thing that kind of annoys me is bands just covering the same old classic songs over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where it's like, okay, how many times do we need this to be covered? But Orbit Culture covered Hardwired almost like a few days before the actual album is supposed to drop back in 2016.
It almost feels like Nicholas was like, you know what? Let me try this. And then they just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. Like a smaller band covering the biggest metal band of all time. And it's the first single off of Metallica's first album in 8 years. And it's a cover that nails it and kind of builds on it at the same time. Like, again, it's faithful to the original. There's no major deviations. It's still the same 3-minute classic thrash song we get on Hardwired to Self-Destruct. But Orbit Culture really do their best to sound like if Metallica played melodic death metal, and it sounds amazing. It's a match made in heaven for me, even having the decency to throw growling in on the final chorus.
Yeah, that's like basically what you described was like Orbit Culture taking a current song from like a staple of the genre and just barely making any other adjustments, but still injecting themselves into the track.
We really feel the need to bring the Hardwired cover up because this is where my jumping on point comes into play. The big one, the one that put them on the map for me, which is the Red Fog EP. And to be honest, guys, we're probably just going to go track for track on this and just talk about every song on it because this is a 5 out of 5 EP.
Yeah. From this point on, like it was really hard to pick favorites off the EPs because I would just end up saying all of them.
I don't blame you in the slightest. So I'm just going to hop straight into my notes on the actual songs rather than just go through my entire blurb of going, it sounds like classic metal meets melodic death metal and new wave of American heavy metal influences. But yeah, it really does feel like they just took what's great in general about Metallica, In Flames, Meshuggah, Behemoth, Gojira. This to me is how heavy metal should sound. Great vocals, heavy riffs, intense drumming, but just have that it factor that makes it addictive to listen to, because the opening track, the title track, that guitar riff is just immediately noticeably chunkier than it was before, and then just when the drums kick in, it's amazing. And Nicholas Carlson is really fully dedicated to the idea of being mellow death James Hetfield on this. His voice sounds amazing on it, and then just right when it goes into the chorus, Bree, you know what to do. Drop the chorus for us. It's motivating without feeling like you're just hearing somebody yell empty platitudes at you. This isn't Five Finger Death Punch just giving you generic Facebook inspirational quotes. No, this thing motivates you. And then that final groove with the growling is just so fucking heavy. Like, I love this goddamn song. Literally every Friday in the gym, I usually just end up putting Orbit Culture on, and when I'm doing my bench presses, it's usually Red Fog back to back with Saw, and then I just up my weights once we get to Saw. So more on that song in a minute, but Orbit Culture did the impossible on this next one, and they made a ballad heavy.
Yeah. Like, I'm still not sure how they were able to pull it off, but just because they write like a slower tempoed song, that doesn't mean it gets any less intense.
So this could just be me attaching my own meaning to the lyrics. I'm not 100% sure, but to me, the song, it's about depression, but not in the, again, not just some generic platitudes about what it is and how to deal with it, like you're just reading it off of Google. No, it's more just about realizing the condition you have, knowing you have to live with it, but you can't use it as an excuse to just leave your life in shambles, and that you have to find some way to continue on. You can't let it destroy relationships, friendships, and that you can overcome a lot of what you're going through. And it feels like it's coming from a genuine place too, on top of that. But as well, this is where I just wrote in all caps for my notes, the music just kicks fucking ass, from the tons of double kick going on. The expertly placed guitar solo right after the second chorus is an amazing touch to gut punch the listener. And then the final section for me is just the icing on the cake to just hit you right in the feels. Like, I don't know how they managed to make a ballad heavy and impactful, but also just make it a genuinely good ballad too.
I can't remember which song off this record I said this, but if anime music videos were still in vogue the way they were in like 2008, 2009, I could see a lot of like songs from this or any record like set to whatever anime.
You said that about North Star of Nija, which we will talk about in a minute. But Saw is our next track, and my original note was just awesome. Because pretty much everything I just said about Red Fog can apply to that. I mean, the chorus on it is just amazing. And if you really close your eyes, it sounds like Black Album Hetfield.
I wonder how much specifically Injustice for All was an influence on his vocals.
Yeah. Like a little bit of a halfway between Justice and Black Album feels like that was the inspiration to make the chorus sound how it sounds. But I mean, everything from the opening chugs to the solo, again, after the second verse, just well placed. The layers of growled vocals and cleans, the uplifting lyrics that, again, don't just sound like they're pandering. Much like the previous tracks, this is a perfect metal song to me.
Couldn't agree more.
Newborn One, I will be honest, my main favorites, I'm just going to get best songs out of the way, really are Red Fog, See Through Me, and Saw. But after rejamming it earlier this week, I just couldn't help but go, like, I don't know why I don't listen to this more. And it honestly feels like a mistake on my part. It feels like they're really using the growls and the cleans to either thematically fit in certain parts or to just hit you at the right moments. Just a lot like what See Through Me was doing. And again, just making the chorus infectious as hell.
It's always the choruses where they just give that extra punch that seems to be missing in other contemporary metal bands lately.
Well, a lot of the times it's either just it goes too far in the too poppy direction, or it's not enough of a hook exactly to lure any newcomers in. Like I don't think stuff like, no disrespect to Spirit Box, but Spirit Box is kind of more on the poppier side of things. And if that gets you more into growled sounding stuff, hey, great. I've even got some of their stuff on vinyl, but I mean, I'm just thinking of more stuff that kind of goes, I'm just going to say the Bring Me the Horizon route. I'm thinking more that kind of poppy and trying to play off of that.
Right.
But, hopping back into the last track on the EP, Way of the Masses, it's just a riff factory. The first 2 minutes or so almost could just be a Meshuggah song. And then the clean vocals come back in the middle to help elevate it. One thing I will say, even though it's an EP, it really does make you feel like you just listen to an experience rather than it just gives you a generic fade out, or it stops. It just ends.
Yeah. So what makes the EPs of this band special is at no point are they double dipping. Okay, maybe on the singles, but when it comes to the EPs, it's all new material. And you really get your money's worth.
There's no real double dippings for me, if anything. None of these songs just wind up either as a bonus track later on the next record. It doesn't go for that territory where it just feels kind of, I don't feel like the word grifty is appropriate, but you guys kind of get what I mean. But I didn't really take very many notes for this next track, but I felt like the need to bring it up because, again, Nicholas Carlson is a big fan of horror movies. and they do a cover of the Halloween theme, and conveniently it came out the same year as the 2018 reboot.
Perfect timing.
My only notes really are just it's really loyal to the Carpenter version, but with distortion and chug parts, but it makes an eerie theme song for one of the greatest horror movies ever made heavy. Like, how can you go wrong with that?
Basically, they just understood the assignment.
Pretty much. So we also forgot to bring up right at the top with Red Fog is when Frederick joins the band on bass as well. And later on in 2019, Christopher would end up joining on drums. This is really where I would say this is Orbit Culture's classic lineup. This is kind of like their Colony era In Flames lineup joins the picture.
I would say Nija would be their nexus point, where Red Fog was like them opening the gates for a new audience. This is like where all right, you guys are here. It's time to go.
Yeah. So Nija ends up dropping smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. Like one of the first ways I think I also heard of them was when Knotfest was doing this thing called Pulse of the Maggots, where they were trying to put on new bands. And Orbit Culture did a show, obviously to no audience at the time because there were no concerts happening, but they basically just put on like a 5-song, 20-ish minute set, and they mastered it like it was a full-blown studio recording. And that's kind of, again, how I ended up hearing about them initially. But as for Nija, the actual record, really this follows the blueprint that Red Fog establishes and just takes it to that next level that makes sense. And the fact that this also came out in the middle of the pandemic and it's as uplifting as it is, I feel like this was a right album at the right time thing for me.
I would agree with that as well. This is one of the few records that it was so good. I basically listened to it like twice in the same night.
Oh, when we were making our notes, I convinced you to listen to that second time, man. But as for the actual songs, rather than just going track for track, I basically took notes and just said, you know what, these are the best songs in general because everybody in this band brings their A game when it comes to the riffs. Like some of these, I don't know how they may. I'm not a guitar player anymore. I haven't played for, I want to say, a good solid 5 years at this rate, but I don't know how they replicate these songs live the way they do. But Mike, do you want to go best songs and just like go through your notes? Because even we're going to go through the bonus tracks on this thing.
You know what? For that reason alone, I'm going to go backwards and just go right to the bonus tracks because I think they're so good they should have just been part of the album from the start.
No arguments out of me there.
So the bonus tracks are Wargblood and Mute the Silent.
Man, so Wargblood for me, that's just a perfect melodic death metal song. Like from the twin guitars, the growling, the drumming on it, the structure on it as a whole, like how it builds up to that conclusion with the string sections. The string sections just more feel like the more evil horn sections on a Behemoth album for me. That's the way I feel like Orbit Culture implement those. And the chorus on it just immediately gets stuck in your head and just makes you feel like this unstoppable force. It's amazing.
Yep. And then, of course, Mute the Silent has, again, just great guitar playing and just all around great musicianship from the entire band.
Well, for me, I'm just sitting there going the entire almost 5-minute runtime going, how is this band just getting heavier and heavier each second?
They're one of the few bands that as they've gained popularity, they've also gained heaviness.
Well, it might as well actually go on about the main record. So like the main record songs that I ended up picking out was At the Front, which just starts off at 11 and never lets off the gas pedal. The one I just mentioned earlier, North Star of Nija, that chorus is super uplifting while being super aggressive at the same time. And to be honest, it's also a really great song to run to in the gym. Orbit Culture, add it to your gym playlists at all times. Day of the Cloud, that's a riff I always wanted to write when I was playing guitar back in the day, but I just could never replicate it that well. Then Open Eye just deserves to open up every pit everywhere. Yes. Even at Denny's. And then Mirror Slave, which this is their first take on Sad But True, and I say that in the best way possible.
Yeah. Mirror Slave might be probably the best version of Sad But True that, other bands tried to do.
Well, and then this is where Orbit Culture decide to go on their journey of writing the heaviest song of all time. A lot more on that in a minute, but obviously I'm talking about Nensha. Whenever you have a song where the riff just builds and builds and builds, and then the vocalist screams, "Pick up the bones," you have an immediate classic on your hands. And then another case of a ballad that's somehow still really heavy, which is Rebirth, and then how it just keeps building and building from there. And it's fitting in the track listing to close out the album with this and Shadowing, which also, speaking of, the Shadowing is the most depressing lyrically, but honestly, I kind of can't help but feel like this is the best way they could have closed out this record at the same time.
I can agree with that.
There are tracks we haven't mentioned on this thing, like Behold, but it really, every song on this thing's really great. Nija should be top of your list when it comes to like albums you need to check out.
Agreed.
So up next this is just to show the work ethic that these guys have, is that the following year we get another EP.
And Shaman, much like Red Fog, and much like we'll get to The Forgotten later, but it's another 5 out of 5 banger.
I mean, so I'm just going to get this right off the bat. It's not as technical as Nija was. That said, they didn't sacrifice a single thing musically. They didn't simplify things just to, gain a wider audience, to, get on Octane or anything like that. It's still ridiculously heavy. The choruses are as great as they've ever been. It even dares to get more complex with the songwriting and have multiple identifiable parts, like On a Sailor's Tale. I just think this EP, they somehow topped themselves again.
So picking favorites again becomes near impossible, but the last time I respun just like their discography, I really latched on to Carvings.
Oh, Carvings is a really great song. It's the best song Meshuggah never wrote to me. I also just love the part where he just screams, "They say the dead are coming home." Like, I didn't know I needed those lyrics in my life until I heard that song. The note that I left that you really liked was "Mass of the World is Metallica by way of Meshuggah." Like, just the way that chug pattern is just so good.
Yeah, that description is very apt.
Flight of the Fireflies is another personal favorite of mine. It's a perfect melodeath riff. And also that chorus just helps elevate it. It's another great treadmill song, by the way. Obviously, Carvings, Sailor's Tale. There is not a better closing track they could have gone with. This is a 5 out of 5 song to me. Like, there's multiple sections, a great solo out of Richard, the drumming from Chris is killer. You can picture James Hetfield singing the chorus to this, but it's also not a verse chorus breakdown done song either. It feels complete, not like you just spent 7 minutes sitting in your seat with your headphones on.
Yeah, A Sailor's Tale it's a musical journey, and I would say just in general, probably one of my favorites of the band as a whole.
But one song in particular we saved for last, and it's tough picking either this or A Sailor's Tale for probably best song on the EP, but it's Strangler. Strangler from second number one proceeds to keep punching you square in the face repeatedly, and you just come back for more helpings.
Yeah, all I have for notes for Strangler is it's just ridiculously heavy.
Oh, the way the riff just immediately kicks in with the drums from second one, it immediately is like, okay, this riff is going to get stuck in my head. Like, it's like if you took Lamb of God, Metallica, and In Flames and threw them in a blender. It's styled exactly like that. It's got a ton of groove to it. It's got a really infectious chorus, like I keep mentioning. And then just how heavy it gets. So it almost has, I'll bring this up on our next album, but it almost has a little bit of a To the Hellfire moment towards the end of the song where then he just screams, I am your death. That is how you close out a song this heavy. And then it cuts back into a guitar solo with that amazing riff. And man, Strangler. It's another 5 out of 5 song. I don't know if you could have closed out this EP better than with those two songs.
Yeah, those two songs are just a definitive statement of this is who we are and this is why we're awesome.
Pretty much. And then you were surprised I brought this up because, and I don't really blame the band because we didn't know if touring was going to happen in 2022 either, just as things were really starting to open up again and things were kind of going back to normal. So you were surprised when I told you this next album was good to go in 2022, basically.
Yeah, I honestly forgot about that. So the next album we're talking about is, of course, Descent. And we got I think we got the first single in 2022, right?
Yeah, look, Vultures of North was the first taste we got of the album. And then they started going on tours with bands they started going out on tour with In Flames and Fit for an Autopsy, which I would have been all over that tour if it came here. And then they proceeded to tour with In Flames, At the Gates, and Imminence in Europe. So that would have been unreal if that came to North America or just came to Canada, period. But it wasn't until we got the album in 2023, and I really wish we did a best albums from that year and last year as well, for that matter. But to be honest, this would have been the top of my list for 2023.
If not number one, definitely my top 5.
To articulate why it's their best album to date for me is tough. For one, it's at perfect length. I think 45 to 48 minutes is kind of the best run time for a record.
I would agree with that. And for me, it's anywhere between 48 and 52 minutes. I don't know why that sounds like such an arbitrary number, but it's something about the pacing, the album structure, and just the songwriting on this record specifically. They just have it down pat.
Oh, 100%. I mean, production wise, I think this is the best the band has ever sound. It still feels massive while still having dirt under its nails at the same time. It doesn't feel like it reeks of overproduction and gloss with no substance to it. And this is where we're really just going to go track for track again on this thing, because my notes, I do have best songs, but my original answer for best songs is the cop-out answer. All of them.
Yeah.
So really, descending is the best way you can walk out on stage if you're a band. Make it sound like it was recorded for a big movie, and I say that as a compliment. Then we immediately cut straight into Black Mountain.
Yeah. Black Mountain is, as I often say, the good shit.
Oh, it's another perfect song to go on a run to. It's driving, it's rhythmic, but the melody is still there. The chorus immediately gets in your head, but still stays aggressive as all hell. And then right as you drop back into the main riff, and also that elongated scream timed with the double bass and the riff, that's incredible.
I don't have too much to say about Sorrower, it's just another one where every member of the band is firing on all cylinders. I have a little bit more to say about From the Inside because it just has probably one of my favorite choruses on the record.
Oh, for my note for Sorrower, I just said the heaviest song Trivium never wrote. especially for that twin lead section for the last chunk of the song, and then it goes back to melting your face off for the last 2 minutes with nothing but double bass. It's really Nicholas's vocals on the chorus for Sorrower that sell it for me too. That's another factor that just these choruses can really sell these songs, and it doesn't feel like a pop structure at all. It just, the entire 6 minutes goes by in a flash. Obviously, From the Inside is up next, and this is really our first major lead off single that really pushed us to be like, okay, we're jamming this album day one.
It was either this song or Vultures of North where it became clear that this is in fact my new favorite band.
For me, whenever I'm in the again, just to go nuts about how much I go to the gym, and this is my arm day soundtrack. This song in particular, I have my seat, I have my 55-pound dumbbells ready to go, and then I just time it for certain parts of the song. It's amazing. It's just amazing that this band can show off how talented they are, but yet go, no, this is how heavy metal should sound, especially with that scream right before it goes back into the chorus and the guitar solo. It's an incredible song.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then Vultures of North, we've obviously brought up a couple of times already, and this is the first time since In Medias Res that this is the first time in a long time that they wrote a song with only growling in it.
And yet here's the best part. The chorus, even though it's just all growls, it's still catchy. It still has that infectious groove to it. Almost reminds me a little bit of like Fear Factory in the way the double bass pedal, it just keeps like
debated with the riff.
Yeah.
For me, I just, because I've seen the band live twice already, it's their closing staple at this rate. I can't not associate it with a wall of death towards the end of the song and screaming, we're here, we're now in orbit. It's in the blood, the underdog, the undertow, beware of the antlers. But I even have a shirt that says beware of the antlers on it. That was something I needed.
Nice.
Then my only note for Alienated was headbang, motherfucker. Like, I could have written more detailed notes for this, but the entire time listening to this for this episode, I just could not stop headbanging to it the entire time. It's a riff factory.
Yep. It is.
My favorite, it's tough to say which one is like my favorite, but like it goes toe to toe. It's probably my second favorite, but it might just be my favorite. It's the Isle of Fire. Never before I thought a band could write the happiest heavy metal song in the world but still make it as heavy as it is.
Yeah, that's just their talent. They find ways to surprise you like that.
Yeah, and the thing that shocks me is that they still haven't played this song live yet.
It does kind of feel like it should be one of their staples.
This would go down in a storm in a live environment. I mean, that chorus would just make everybody's face immediately light up. And I mean, I don't know why I'm just harping on it being so positive and like uplifting, but at the same time, it's got so much double kick and twin guitar to it, dude. I love this thing. I love this track. We almost could just do an entire podcast episode on this one song, but we're not going to do that to everybody. Then Undercity comes in, and it's another take on Sad But True.
I take back what I said before. This might be the improvement of the kind of sad but true formula, because in the second half, that's when they kick up the tempo and just kind of, just ramp up the heaviness.
Oh, they even have the nerve to drop a scream that's almost like To the Hellfire by Lorna Shore. And then I don't know how they made this make sense structurally, but then they drop the twin guitars that almost sound like they could be off of Clayman by In Flames. I don't know how they managed to make that all flow organically and sound listenable, but they did it. But we obviously cut to what might be my favorite song on the album, and by far it might just be the heaviest song of all time, to be honest. The title track. I don't know how they did it, but they really did write the heaviest goddamn song of all time, Mike.
They wrote the heaviest chorus of all time, probably.
We are not sorry for the amount of samples you have to drop in for these episodes, because guys, listen to this. For real, that might just be the heaviest thing ever written. Just the way they tuned as low as they did, but made that still be earwormy, but not an obnoxious way. And just, again, the way it just keeps going and going and getting heavier and heavier, even when it drops into that groove section. Like, it even has the nerve to do some Hetfield yas in there. You would think that'd be unintentionally funny, but no, it's awesome. And the tempo, it's not one note either. It just keeps pulverizing you for the entire 4 minutes. And you're going to come back for second helpings with a gigantic fucking grin on your face. That's how good the title track is.
Hell yeah.
And again, just because of how much of a gym junkie I am, this song and one we'll bring up in a minute are basically my ab crunch songs when I'm in the gym. I have to have these two back to back with each other. Starts with Descent, starts with the other one. But to finish off with Descent, for as light as Through Time is, compared to the rest of the album, after kicking your ass for the entire last 44 minutes, it's kind of a perfect palate cleanser to cool you down.
Yeah. Again, going back to what I said about this band always finding like the best way to close a record. After the onslaught that were like the previous two tracks, you need a bit of that breather, that come down to kind of round out the experience of the record as a whole.
Oh, 100%. It feels like a really strong closing track, but it makes you feel like you just listen to an experience. And again, it's not just a generic fade out of a track. And really, it lets you just reflect on the last almost hour of listening to this thing. You just take a step back and go, I just listened to metal's next huge band. I mean, pretty much everybody I expose Orbit Culture to, everybody agrees this band is incredible. And those people who don't are just obviously wrong.
Hard to disagree there.
So bear in mind, because I first saw them with Avatar in 2023, and I actually have a story because Mike hasn't seen them live. Did I tell you this story from when I went to go see them?
I don't recall.
So that same weekend, they were on tour with Avatar and a band called The Native Howl, which is like a bluegrass thrash band. So here's what happened that weekend. I go see Iron Maiden the Saturday, but here's the catch. My entire house ended up getting COVID except for me and my grandpa. So my mom caught it on Wednesday, and I made her stay the hell away from me because I'm seeing Iron Maiden. I spent like over $100 for these tickets. You're not getting me sick, and I'm not missing this. So like I obviously like isolate. I test myself before I go out just to make sure like I'm not spreading anything to anybody, and I'm obviously wiping everything down, sanitizing it. I go see Iron Maiden, no problems. My grandma ends up getting sick too. So really, it's between me and my grandpa. We're like, oh God, who's next? So I test myself the day of, test negative again. I end up going to see Orbit Culture, and you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but I got the set list.
And it's a pretty awesome set list.
Like seeing them live, it just reinforced everything I already love about their music in general. And some guy, I don't even think I told you this, some guy tried to start a fight with me right before they went on stage. Yeah, no joke. So there was one guy, and in this case, I am going to make fun of him for being covered in face tattoos. No joke. So I got Avatar's early access because they have a fan club called Avatar Country Citizens, where you get sent a physical passport with the Avatar emblem on it.
Oh,
and
that's
then
cool.
you get to go into the venue like 15 minutes early ahead of like the general lineup. So my friend gets in just because he's mainly there for Orbit Culture. I was too, because like I do really like Avatar, but I was there for Orbit Culture. So I mainly got the early access for that, and I was just going, whatever, extra money, it's worth it. But no, as soon as For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica comes on, some guy in a Monster Energy drink hat and face tattoos comes up to me, and he starts calling me Zach Wilde and go like, hey man, what's up? And I'm like, dude, I get it. I have the beard, I have the long hair, but I'm not bleach blonde. I look nothing like, I get I'm in shape like him, but I look nothing like Zach, dude. And then he just goes, hey man, me and these girls, we want to be on the rail too. And Mike, you know me, I'm not antagonistic, but all I do is just go, nope, and turn my back, and I just business as usual. He starts going like, why are you gonna be such a fucking asshole, man? I should kick your fucking ass. I'm like, dude, I paid for Avatar's early access so I could be on the rail. I paid extra money to be here, and I booked the day off work to be here. Not my fault. You can't be at the venue early so you can be on the rail with the people you're with. Sucks to be you. So he goes over to my friend, and he's just like, hey man, if you and me try to team up and kick the shit out of him, we can get on the rail. He just looks at him and just goes like, you're trying to fight him? And Mike, I really hate to quote the guy who kidnapped Liam Neeson's daughter, but he basically said to him, good luck.
And that's why you never pick a fight with Nick.
Nope, because it will not end well for you. And he got thrown over to add some comedy about how macho of a tough guy he was. I saw him in the parking lot, and he just kept his face in his phone.
He knew.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to get that story out of the way because it does technically tie into the Forgotten EP, because One, two of these songs were basically Descent outtakes, and one was pretty much just written exclusively for this EP because they did the Avatar tour and they were getting as popular as they were because of that tour. So, Mike, let's just go through the Descent outtakes first, and then I think everybody knows what our best song is going to be.
All right, so we begin with like kind of a great first track for this EP.
Well, second track really, but we're getting to that.
Yeah. So this is the part where we talk about
it's the upheaval, dude.
Oh, the upheaval? So, okay.
Yeah, because again, we're saving the best song. Everybody knows what the best song is. Just the Descent outtakes, because Upheaval's a really strong, heavy track with a lot of really great twin guitars. And again, the Hetfield isms show up on this EP during the chorus. It's just around like it's just a really solid 4-minute track. That's all I can say about it.
That's all you really need for this collection of songs.
Yeah. And then for me, if Through Time wasn't already the closing track to Descent, I think Sound of the Bell could really have worked also as a final track.
I would agree with that.
I mean, it's an epic track with multiple sections, great musicians. The chorus is another really depressing one, not to the degree of The Shadowing, but maybe a little bit of Through Time, just a lot more fast-paced than that track, of course. But do you have any notes for those two that you want to mention?
Not a whole lot that hasn't already been said. It's just another one of those EPs in general that's like, it's not double dipping anything. It's just more of what you love from the Descent.
So I was really pushing for us to save this for last because, again, how can you do a best song with best songs plural with just a 3-track EP? So with best song, Horticulture topped themselves again. They somehow managed to even top the title track to Descent. We're obviously talking about While We Serve. So, man, believe it or not, they really did top themselves making this the heaviest song ever. I don't know how they managed to top a song like Descent as heavy as it was, but like from just the opening creepy synth blurring you in, and then the opening riff, and it just immediately launches you. It's like, no, we're easing you into it a little bit, and then, no, fuck you, go.
I love that this is like the first track for the EP because it's not holding your hand. It's like, you see that pit down there? We're tossing you in.
Oh, there's also a reason why the band, there was a meme page that existed, and I knew the guy who ran it, and I got to hang out with him a little bit before the show in January last year. But the band even kind of plays along with the joke that the song in the live environment should be called While We Surf.
Love that.
You should be crowd surf. The joke was from this guy's page. I wish I could have still been in touch with him and everything, but the joke was, if you're not surfing, you're not serving. So you better surf because you better serve. But I mean, to hop back into the song, again, from that opening riff, and just, it's all growling the entire song. But it's not super melodic, but it's not just so blisteringly heavy, like not to the degree of like Cannibal Corpse or Aborted or something, but just the way it doesn't take its foot off your neck. And then even when it drops into that groove in the tempo, it's still ridiculously heavy. It's aggressive as all hell. That synth section drops and it lures you into that false sense of security. And I'm going to paraphrase the pretzel episode of The Simpsons when Homer points out one of the mafia guys. You know the song is just going to sock you in the face with the heaviest riff possible, and you know it's going to be good. And then immediately it socks you in the face with the heaviest riff it possibly can with the most nihilistic lyrics. And Bree, please drop the sample for everybody. I don't know how the band managed to make something this not after how positive something like Isle of Fire was and how uplifting this band can be. Something at the same time, making a song like While We Serve this nihilistic, it's fitting for how heavy the music is.
Yeah. This also just feels like one of those songs that's just kind of perfect for, not to get too political or anything, but just kind of perfect for the era we're in now.
Well, some of the lyrics do kind of have religious allegory to them, like especially the last lyrics, the I have served, I believed in a good deed, I believed we could fix this, I believed we could find the meaning. The way the song is written on the whole is just incredible. And going back to the live environment, when I saw them open for Machine Head back in January last year, which nobody's going to be able to see this again, but of course I got the set list and I got to meet the band after the show, and they are awesome people. Richard gave me a drunken hug in an Oilers jersey, no less, after the show, and the entire band just group hugged me, and you could not wipe the grin off my face. I was like, life cannot get better than this right now. I got to spend like a good solid 2-3 minutes talking to them, and I got my friend Daryl to meet them, and he got to chat them up a lot too. We got signed posters and everything. Just guys, if you get the chance to go see Orbit Culture live, you have to go see them. And if I know they're coming to New York ever, I am pressuring Mike to go.
Yeah, it's about time. Like, as someone who loves metal, especially this newer crop of bands that are emerging, I really owe it to myself to see these guys live.
Oh, they're incredible. They're ridiculously heavy. They sound exactly like the record, but they still engage with the crowd and everything. And again, they usually hang out at the merch booth after the show. They haven't started doing paid meet and greets just yet, but you know, if you do get the chance to go meet them at the merch booth, go say hi to them. It'll be one of the best experiences of your life.
The fact that they're like that open to just meeting people in the public just kind of shows you they're not just great musicians, they're also just great down to earth people.
Oh, exactly. And just I don't know how to conclude this episode other than Orbit Culture just need to be on your goddamn radar. They're melodic without sounding poppy. They're bone crushingly heavy, but I don't think that it's something that should exactly scare non-metal heads away from them at the same time. Me and Mike said this in the Lamb of God episode. Like, people really need to get over the concept of death growls and just be like, they're here to stay. Don't like it. Deal with it.
Yeah. It's almost gotten to the point now that, like, similar to how, like, audiences eventually got over the sound of, like, distorted guitars, we're kind of at that point now where death growls are just, they're just part and parcel to the genre.
Well, also another thing I want to bring up is they do obviously sound like they're paying debts to like Metallica, In Flames, Gojira, Behemoth, Meshuggah, which these are bands that are older now, but they don't just sound derivative of them or sound like they're just, you know, being copycats, or they don't sound like a tribute to an era that was 40 years ago. this is more just like, this is how heavy metal should sound in 2025. And right now, I'm going to be honest, their next album is my most anticipated of the year right now.
Do we know when it's coming out, or is it just one of those 2025 releases?
Tentative release date. I don't know if they have any. They don't really announce. I didn't even know Descent was coming out until like From the Inside dropped and said new album August 2023, basically.
So we'll just know when we know.
Pretty much. And I this is where I just go, I hope Wikipedia gets updated with more information. We're basically going off of what little I know from interviews I've seen over the years, and some of it's just me winging it, some of it's me just going based off of Wikipedia pages, and some of it I genuinely did prepare for. We obviously listen to these albums actively, and we obviously do an entire listen through before recording these. So, we do our damnedest to at least go in prepared. We try to show some air of professionalism for our free podcast.
We do try our best, but for anyone who's new to this band or, wants to start collecting their records, where can people go to find them?
Yes, the obligatory where you can buy their music, merch, or go see them live part. So Shaman and Descent are available through Amazon, the obvious usual source for everything, and Revolver Magazine's web store. There is an official merch site for Orbit Culture through Merch Care, which does have CD copies of all the early albums and EPs. I don't believe Nija is on there anymore. I could be mistaken, but also go check out Night Shift merch and Empiricon for more merch. And also to tie it into our upcoming series on Trivium, you can go catch them if you live in Europe, opening for Trivium and Bold for My Valentine on the Poison Descendancy tour this month. Literally kicks off in just a couple of days. So if you can get tickets right now, I'm not even a crazy Bullet for My Valentine fan at all, but I would go to this tour because I love Trivium to death and I love Orbit Culture. Goddamn money.
Indeed.
But that concludes another Why We Love This Band episode. And I don't know what episode we'll do on which band next, but for right now, I'd say let's just mainly focus on doing the Trivium records, because new album and oh my God, Ascendancy is going to turn 20 in March.
I can already feel myself turning to dust learning that fact. But yeah, look forward to our retrospective on genuinely one of my favorite bands of all time.
Oh, same here. So I guess with that in mind, and concludes another Why We Love This Band episode.
Until next time, Nick, where can everyone find you online?
Super Saiyan Death Metal God on Instagram. I mainly post album covers, albums I own on vinyl, CDs, movies I'm watching, video games. If I happen to be playing through something, go shoot me a follow and some binge likes. And I'll obviously be promoting this podcast as well, because yay for shameless promotion.
Hell yeah. And you guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/Coach K42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Blue Sky at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Jukebox. We will catch you guys later. Nick, take us out.
Beware of these antlers, motherfuckers.